Okay guys, we have a free Harbor Freight tumbler barrel. So we're going to start a new batch, and this batch is going to be banded calcite, all found from Utah. A lot of these have been tumbled some in the past. They just weren't quite ready. That's why some look shaped, and some are ones that broke in final polish. You can see they don't take a mirror polish, but they do get really pretty, really cool designs. Some of these are called Root Beer Onyx or banded calcite, whatever you would like to call it, but you can see some of them get real pretty. That piece just broke. It's very fragile, very soft. So we're going to take it in the slow Harbor Freight tumbler, but let's load up some and start running for 7 days. I'm going to run this really big piece. It's got some cool color. This is just solid calcite. Run that too, just to see. I have no idea if it takes a polish. That one's too big. Do a little one. Okay, so we're just going to fill this up to just below the rocks with water. Then this is a 3-pound barrel, so I'm going to do, this is being a soft rock, so I'll probably do 2.5 tablespoons of 60-90 grit and then run for 7 days. Okay guys, it's our first 1-week checkup on our banded calcite. This is a very frothy, very thick Slurpee. I don't know why I just called it a Slurpee, but we'll go with it, because that's what it looks like. And I actually ended up leaving these more like 15 days, because I had some work to do. We did not use all the grit, as you can see, so I don't need to do 3 scoops. Even though it's a 3-pound barrel, I'll probably only do 2 scoops of grit this time. But you can see we really wore down the rocks. Take a look at what we got. I'm going to keep this one going one more time just because of this big hole. This one, as you can see, got perfectly rounded. And it is ready to move on to step 2. Now this kind of rock, more than any other, you will actually see some changes into step 2. Hard rocks you usually don't, so you can kind of take that into account as you're going along here. So that one's ready. Take a look at these last 2 and then do the rest off screen. But that one's also ready to move on. This is a piece of Root Beer Onyx. Really cool. So I'll go through the rest off camera and show you what was done. So we had all these done after just 1 week. So I'm basically going to have to reload almost everything. So we're just going to set these aside for step 2, reload just like last time, and do another week of step 1. Okay guys, it's our 1-week check. Very thick and frothy. Okay. Got some cool looking pieces here. This one's just not quite ready. A few little holes still. That piece is really pretty. And it is ready to move on. This kind of rock, there's going to be a lot every time to move on. That one's ready to go. Looks interesting. And it's ready to go. So I'm going to look through the rest of these let's just assume almost everything's done, but I will show you afterwards. And then we're going to reload again for another week. So we had very nearly the full batch done. We'll show you one real close. Hold on 1 second, honey. Show you one real close one. They just get some really pretty banding. You can see why it's been nicknamed Root Beer Onxy, just because of that light brown coloring. So we're going to reload for 7 days. Alright guys, yeah, we're making a video. It has been 7 days. Got a real thick, pasty slurry. Alright, let's see what we got. Really cool looking piece, ready to move on. Same here with this piece. Look at this one. It's ready to go on. Actually, well, I think I'm going to keep running this one actually. So, I'll show you everything that's done at the end. Okay, we had a whole lot done again. All of these are ready to go. So we're going to add this to the collection just to show you. This is how much we already have done, so this is a ridiculously fast batch. And by done, I mean ready to go into stage 2. So we're just going to reload the tumbler again and go for 7 more days. Alright guys, it's our 7-day checkup on our Root Beer Onxy. Banded calcite. There's not much coming out. Tells me we worked out a lot of material. So I can't remember if I've said, but I have just been running 2 scoops of grit instead of 3, even though it's a 3-pound barrel. And that seems to be giving pretty good results. I think I'm going to move that one on. This is a material you can assume that they are going to get smaller in step 2, which is not very common. But that one's good. This piece is for sure good. This is just straight calcite. They really don't polish up very good, but I didn't have anything else to do with it. Here's a really cool piece. So I'll go through here. I'm going to assume that most of it's done. But I'm going to take a look, go through, and then we'll be back to check. So this time it was easier to show. This is the only thing not done. One piece. So let me show you how much. This is everything done so far. I'll probably do just 1 more week, honestly, and then that'll be enough to fill up the vibratory tumbler and move on to step 2. So we're going to refill this and go for 7 days. Okay guys, it's been another week on our calcite. And considering that it was full, there's not much in here. Take a look at a few of these. These are not like crazy high grade Root Beer Onxy. This one's pretty good. But the reason I think they're cool is I dug them up myself. So I'll go through here, and again, we'll probably just have less that's not done than is. And we'll show you that and then reload again. So this week, we actually had 3 little pieces not ready. So I'm going to refill the rest of the barrel again and go another week. Okay guys, it's been 7 days on the Root Beer Onxy. Let's see what we have. So, I expect most of these to be done, but let's just find a couple that are cool. That one's definitely going to be ready to move on. Let's see here. This one's got some interesting design. Nothing spectacular, and it's actually not done. That one's ready to go. So I'm going to go through the rest. We probably only have enough rough for one more week, and then we'll be moving on to stage 2. But we'll show you. Let's just assume most of these are bad or done actually. So we're just going to go ahead and reload for 7 days, and then we'll be on our final step 1 check next week. Okay guys, we're at our 1 week check here on the rest of what we had left of our banded calcite root beer onyx. I forgot I threw in a few fluorite pieces just as filler as well. So those will get pulled back out. But it looks like almost all of these are going to be done. So we are going to prepare for stage 2 in the vibratory tumbler. We'll be back shortly. Okay everybody, we've got the root beer onyx banded calcite all mixed up in here with what we wetted the rocks like we usually do. You get everything full of water and wet, and then you pour all the water out, and then they're ready to go. We've got it here on the vibratory tumbler. Got a very full load. I did not add much ceramic media, but especially on these soft rocks, I want it completely full. And I'm going to do something a little different than I normally do. I'm going to start out with some 500 silicon carbide that I have instead of the 220 that I usually use, just because these are pretty soft. I think this will still work well. So I'm just going to do 2 tablespoons of this. So we're just going to run the tumbler for a minute and just make sure everything mixes okay. And it will be just fine. So we're going to get the lid on. We're going to run this for 2 days, maybe even just 1 day. We'll check tomorrow, but I'm going to be checking every 12 hours to see if we need to add water. Okay guys, so it's only been 1 day with the 500 500 silicon carbide, excuse me. I took a couple of these out and cleaned them and looked, and I think they're getting plenty smooth. This is just such a soft rock that I'm going to move these on after 24 hours. So I put in some extra water, ran some dish soap. You can see it just kind of cleans them up. They don't move very fast that way, but the dish soap just gets on there and coats them and makes them easier to clean off. So we're going to go to the sink, clean these all individually by hand very thoroughly, and then move on to the next step. Okay, so we've got everything cleaned off and loaded in here. I just started this to get everything mixed in again. So we're going to go ahead and grab my spoon here. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of borax in this. Just helps make the slurry a little thicker. It's not a must, but helps just a little bit. And then I'm going to run some 1200 aluminum oxide that I have here as the step 3. And then we're going to go to some full aluminum oxide polish. And I'm just going to add just a little bit more than a tablespoon. So you can see it's just a little above the rim of the aluminum oxide. And then we're going to do the same as before. We're going to run this for 24 hours, check every 12. I could go as far as 48 hours. I don't know. We're just going to see how the rocks do. Just make sure they're running here. Everything looks great, so we're going to run it. Thanks. Just a real quick note with the soft rocks. We did have all of these break in that last round. You just want to get any of these broken pieces out just because the sharp edges can make the rocks dull if you don't get them out. I'm just going to put these in with stage 1 to help grind down some other rocks just in future stages. I just have a pile of scraps that I use to fill in spaces with stage 1 for agates and other harder rocks. So these will just get ground down to nothing eventually. So we'll make use of them, but they will not be moving on to the next stage. Okay guys, I did run that last third stage for 2 days. Everything went smoothly. I did lose a few pieces. You can see here that for various reasons I did not move on. You can see this one was just starting to come apart. Same here. I just didn't want them to come apart and have issues in the next batch. This is a really good example. In the next round, I should say. So I am going to just run a normal cycle on this because a lot of people say with calcite to try a dry polish, and I have done that on this particular kind of rock and was not happy with the results. And so I put after the dry polish here in the vibratory just like normal, and I was a lot more happy with the results. So at least for this kind of calcite, I think I'm going to be more happy with just a normal polish than doing the dry polish. So we're going to load this just like normal. So it's going to be 1 tablespoon of borax. And then we're going to do 1 tablespoon of aluminum oxide polish. Just going to start it and make sure it's running good. Looks great that way. We've got enough room for everything to move around. And so I'm going to run this probably for 3 days. Could just be 2, but just like always, check every 12 hours. On step 3, I did have to add water twice. So it is important to check that often. So we'll check back with you later. One other quick note before you move on to step 4, the polish stage. I took every single rock here individually and cleaned it by hand with a toothbrush. It is very important to get these extremely clean. And calcite is way too soft to run in the sonic cleaner like I usually do. And so I just cleaned each one individually by hand. Okay guys, so we just came out of 2 days of polish, and they're coming up just about like I said. These rocks don't take a major shine, but you're just shaping them and making them pretty, giving them a little sheen. But I am going to clean these now. So first hold on 1 second. So first I hand cleaned everything just to get the main crap off. And then I'm going to run these back in the tumbler here with clean water now. You can see it in there. And we're going to put some borax in. You know, like a big heaping tablespoon, maybe even a little bit more. And then I'm just going to put some dish soap in. And just run this for an hour or 2. The reason normally I would use my sonic cleaner, but these rocks are way too soft. The sonic cleaner would just crack them all. So this is easier on them. I use quite a bit of water so there's cushion, and I do not put the ceramics back in for this step. So we're going to run this and then clean them off and see the end results. Okay guys, we are done with the batch of banded calcite Root Beer Onyx. The tan ones are Root Beer Onxy, but it's just a different kind of banded calcite. These are just regular banded calcites here. Overall, I'm really happy with the batch. It was never going to be a rock that gets a mirror shine finish. It's too soft. It's just not the way that it works. They're almost like chalk. But you shape them really cool, and you can still get the good designs in. So let's just take a look at some here. I think we got a really good, successful batch. These banded pieces are so cool. They almost look like sandstone. So here's some of the start of the Root Beer Onxy. And you can see they're much more intricate than they look when you're first working on them. Almost like a marble. Just really pretty stuff. This piece is a really good root beer piece. You get a lot of that. Obviously the root beer colored stuff is why it's named that. But the banding can just be different in every single piece. This one might be my very favorite, which is random, but really cool here. Got a big one here. Another piece with some pretty banding. Big piece of root beer on the top. So at first glance, when you're tumbling these, they all look very similar. But when you're done, you can really get some unique pieces that I'm real happy with. That one has some purple in it almost. A lot of that caramel coloring here. Another piece that almost looks like sandstone. These are I can't remember the word is when they're just clear, pure calcite. They really don't even take kind of a shine, but they're still cool. I can't remember the word when you can see through them. Someone remind me in the comments. I like them though. They're kind of subtle. A lot of them are subtle. This one had some kind of cool stuff on it. But they're really pretty. And I dug them out of the ground myself, so they're extra cool to me. This one was kind of unique. Really cool piece here. Another subtle piece. So if you've ever worked with this material, I would love to see what did and didn't work for you, or if you have any suggestions, or just kind of some other things I can try in the future, because I'm sure I will dig up more of this, just because it's a fun, easy family spot. I'll do a couple of these smaller ones at the same time. This one's really cool. They almost look like candies, which is making me hungry. This is another one of those subtle ones that I think is really cool though. Which has a lot of the banding. Same with this one. This one's got a little bit of unique coloring. I guess we'll make this the very last piece. Actually, let's make this one. These two. So, thanks so much for watching. If you try something similar, some sort of banded calcite, I'd love to see and hear how it goes. Thanks so much.